Good evening and welcome to the March 15th Revere School Committee meeting. Please rise to salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call to members.
Mr. Stacy Bronson-Rizzo,
Here.
Mr. Michael Ferrante,
Here.
Ms. Susan Gravelisi,
Here.
Mr. John Kingston,
Here.
Mr. Zaisha Bilberry Ellis,
Here.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Here.
Mayor Brian Regal.
Here. We'll begin tonight's meeting with recognition. I will recognize Mrs. Rizzo.
So on February 7th, first game back with spectators. Boys basketball was having an awesome game. They were in overtime with Lynn English, and a referee had suddenly had a sudden medical emergency. Without hesitation, our athletic trainer, Keith Carrera, and Don Bedreau, who is a nurse and also a dad of one of our varsity players, jumped in with CPR and using an AED while waiting for EMTs. And that is when Sergeant Internicola and Officer Brains were right there to help in all efforts. Going outside to the COVID center, looking for people. It was just an amazing work that these people did for this gentleman. Our SROs, I love having them in the schools because it's not as an official police department. They're building relationships with our students each and every day. And this just showed our students one more reason why it's imperative that we have them. Although this was such a traumatic situation, our community really came together with assistance and respect. Our district is amazing, and I am so grateful every day for the people like these gentlemen. I will say that the referee has met them last night. His daughter has also reached out to say thank you in many ways, and he is doing fine. And it's because of these four gentlemen and a group of other people that came together. I was also told that one of the grandfathers offered his oxygen tank at the game also. So, I mean, the Revere community, you know what, no matter what they say about us, we are damn good. We're a good community. So with that being said, the Revere School Committee has a certificate of recognition presented for your heroic, life-saving efforts at the Revere High School basketball game, February 7th, 2022, from the Mayor, Brian M. Arrigo, and Dr. Diane Kelly, along with the school committee. So. Officer Brains. I say your name. And a fantastic athletic trainer and our family member, always, Keith Carrera. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Great job.
Do you want to mention him as well and say we have the certificate, but he wasn't able to make it?
Also unable to join us this evening is Don Bedreau. Probably definitely doing one of those family duties that he does constantly. So I will ask Mr. Carrera if he can give it to him when he sees him. He's giving another sport now?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. Are there, I know there are items that we are
Motion to
taking
approve
off.
the consent calendar?
Ms. Rizzo, I know there was a mention at the committee of the whole meeting that there was one item that we wanted to take off. So we'll take the one item off, which is the acceptance of donations, gifts, and grants. We have one donation from the Massachusetts Port Authority. Ms. Gravellisi, do you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. I just thought it would be nice to recognize Massport Authority since they're always so generous to the community in Revere. I'll just quickly read the letter that was sent along with the donation check. It is from the Director of Community Relations, and it just states, CEO Lisa Wayland and the Massport Authority Board of Directors are pleased to support your organization. Enclosed, you will find a check in the amount of $6,629 payable to the City of Revere / Seacoast High School to support the purchase of new Chromebooks. So we just wanted to thank Massport Authority for that before we approve the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gravellisi. There was a motion presented by Mrs. Rizzo. I don't know if there was a
Second.
second. Okay, second. Roll call.
Mrs. Stacy Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti.
Yes.
Miss Susan Bradley's,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Miss Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Reed.
Yes. Okay. We'll now move to the student representative report. Elney, take it away.
I'm just going to share the presentation. Is that right, Paul? Okay. Go ahead. How to make it full screen.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
My bad. So let me just go to the slides very quickly. Good afternoon. So this representative presentation is going to contain the mask meeting that I attended last month in February. It will be introducing something that I've been working on called Teacher's Voice, a little snippet on it, some updates, replacements, and just talking about future plans, what I'm really doing in the school currently for the students. This slide is mainly for teachers, and because I wasn't really able to talk about it last month, so I will now. So for those who don't know what MASC stands for, it stands for Massachusetts Association of School Committee. I didn't get to talk about it much last month, but on February 13th, I attended the meeting where other representatives from neighboring cities came together to discuss important protocols, parliamentary procedures, and advice on how to maximize our effectiveness as leaders of our schools. So my experience at the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, there was a raging amount of emotions. I think the one that I felt the most was nervousness. Coming back from the pandemic and being chosen as the representative, the representatives that I talked with had the support of the past representatives, kind of give them advice and information on how to, who to talk to and how to acquire that information, where I was kind of learning as I went. And that, because of those experiences, I felt somewhat of a sense of inferiority because they were better in the places that I lacked, and I really admired them for the way that they were able to speak and articulate their words and their experiences in the school committee. But later on, I was able to make some friends. I put their names on the slide: Nancy, Noel, Frank, and because of them, I was able to become more confident of my abilities. I was actually surprised that most of them were juniors as well, because from my experience here at Revere High, you guys usually get students that are seniors to be your representative. So I thought it would be the same for other schools. So I was really surprised when they turned out to be juniors and share the same struggles that they had with me as well. So that was very reassuring. Later on, we went into group conversations. There were 4. So there was the mental health group, curriculum achievements, student communications, and COVID-19 protocols. I went into the student communications and mental health. In the group, there is a person who's supposed to stand up, speak, and kind of summarize the entire thing. I'm sure you guys already know who's the one who summarized. And I got to do it with my friend Noel, who was part of the table that I sat with. And over the time, as we spoke into these groups, I found myself getting more confident as well. During the second time, when I got into the mental health, I was becoming more vocal. And I was really surprised when schools from other cities, when the representatives found that what we were doing in our schools for mental health and what our clubs and students were doing was really impressive. And I even saw them kind of like writing down and being impressed. So that made me really proud that, you know, that they can kind of look up to our school and use us as a good example. And how I felt overall, just going to the committee meetings with them, it was nice being in the room with people who share the same goal as you, who aspire to get better and better the community, better the school. And it felt like a support group, because we all shared the same emotions and goals, and I felt very welcomed, and I hope I can attend that all over again next time. Before I go on, I just want to say that the slides that are being shown might look different to what I have now, because I have edited a couple things, just because I want to.
Do you want me to send me an edited version? Is this the wrong version?
I will send it to you right now. I sent it to Miss Penzini, but I can send it to you right now as well.
Let's see. D. Kelly.
Oh, thank
Revere K-12.
Mhm. you. If it shows up, tell me. There we go. I sent it. It's just a little bit different,
Okay.
but I just wanted to make sure that I was able to present accurate information and the best quality I can to the school committee.
I'm not seeing it. D-K-E-L-L-Y. Do I pop up for you when you email before? No?
Okay, I think I'll be able to send it now. Let me send it this way. Okay, I believe you'll be able to get it now.
So while Elney is looking for that, I want to
Yes.
say she did an awesome job.
Thank you.
She might have been nervous at first, but she started facilitating roundtable discussions. And I know things weren't done a certain way this year, and she kind of got thrown into this role, but she was a perfect person for it because she is a great learner and listener. So I know with her help, we can start the student advisory group and get that moving so that they have the tools that they need to use their voice.
And
I
I
agree.
have your new presentation up.
Oh, thank God.
So I'm
Thank
gonna,
you.
I'm gonna go past, my experience, teacher's voice, is this
Yes.
right? Okay,
I hope I sent you the right one. Let's hope
me
so.
too. After that.
Okay. So it's teacher's voice. So as a student representative on the school committee, I see my role as advocating for students. However, I feel it's important for me to represent teachers as well, since the needs of students cannot be met if teachers are facing specific struggles in their roles. I made a form surrounding this issue because I wanted to hear from teachers and learn their struggles and concerns. That way, I would be able to support students and teachers by sharing my findings with all of you. I had originally prepared 22 slides of collected information, but unfortunately, due to some issues, I decided to withhold that information for now. And my priority is to give good quality work. So I'm going to be revising the form so that I'll be able to give the best work to the committee. So please excuse my presentation for being so short today, since my main focus was on that, and I have adjusted it. But next month, I'll make sure to have one that is very much detailed and has a lot of information that you guys will be able to dissect and use to better the school.
I have to say, Elmy, that you are always very detailed. I don't think that you need to be worried about being more detailed.
Thank you. The next slide should be updates on credits. So this is actually more than for the committee. This is for the teachers, because I know there was some miscommunication and misunderstanding. So because I know there's some teachers who watch this, I want to clear up the situation through sharing this with them. So, to continue, it has been brought to my attention that in order to earn credits, students are being asked to write a minimum of 1 page on school reflection. I've also been made aware that there was some miscommunication and confusing surrounding this credit recovery method. Initially, it was believed that this was used for the period in which we had online schooling. So what teachers thought was, like, if students didn't attend a class for the whole year we had online schooling, that they can make up entire classes by just completing the 6-question recovery method for the credit. That's what teachers and staff were thinking at first. Evidently, teachers would be enraged if they were to find out that it was made without their judgment, but I talked with Dr. Perella, and he came to clarify that those misunderstandings yesterday. So I hope by displaying this, it will help the teachers understand things a bit more clearly. From my understanding of our conversation, this credit recovery method was only used to cover the 2-month period in the spring of 2020, the second semester. So that was the moment in which we didn't know if we were gonna continue school or not, because we were getting the news that COVID was getting closer to our city. The focus of the school was to connect, engage, and support students during the shutdown. This engagement was formulated to students who received NY. NY stands for not yet, as in it's not over yet. Students are still given time and opportunity to excel. It was not applied last year when school had gone remote, so it was only for that 2-month period. The school currently right now got rid of the NY and has just stuck with an F as a failing grade, which students have to go through another credit recovery that has nothing to do with this one. So hopefully by reading this, teachers are able to understand that students are not receiving credit for classes they missed for an entire year online. It was for that 2-month period only. Moving on to the snippet, yes, thank you. Salud. So here, I was talking about the teacher's voice form that I created, and I, in my opinion, it would be like a good idea just to show you like a little sneak peek into the type of questions that I asked. in the form. So for an example, one that I asked was, does the schedule negatively affect RHS equity issues? And the feedback I got from the teachers stated that the flex block contributes to missed opportunities for students such as internship or college courses. It appears to only assist a certain group of students, those who want to proceed with things other than college don't gain benefits, because in my opinion, currently our school is mainly focusing on getting students to colleges, and because that's our main focus, I feel like we don't have as many options personally. So to continue, it does not assist learning equity. Those who struggle with their schedule will naturally start to act out as it is not suited for them. That is what I gained from the responses that I got from the teachers. Again, I kind of withheld the 22 slides of information, so I kind of added a replacement that I could during the weekend. And some things that I learned was that the female empowerment movement, FEM, their goal this month was to create a new dress code that better represents our student committee and has instructions for what teachers can do if a student violates that dress code. FEM held circle discussions for staff and students to discuss the dress code in the fall. FEM has also used surveys and anonymous boxes to collect student opinion about the dress code. Most students believe that our dress code is pointed toward female students and students of color. Many students believe that hat rule directly limits the cultural expression of students of color. FEM expressed how the word distracting in the dress code is a vague way of limiting what female students can wear, especially in warmer weather. They emailed numerous teachers to get their take on the dress code. A summarization will be held on the next slide. So reading this, I just made some bullet points of what I believe teachers were trying to say. Some were stating how school should allow footwear even if they aren't backless, allowing headgear as they believe it's been outdated. Some have asked for clarity on the school dress code. There's a belief that it is subjective and used to say that female bodies are distracting to men. Some teachers want to create a new policy. Some believe that to be able to create this new policy, student input should be used to update the dress code. Dress codes can be effective for safety measures. It should respect and promote all student identities and self-expression. Dress codes are obsolete and unequitable. Some teachers also believe that the hat issue should be the least concerning. Students should dress in a way that shows self-respect. There should be a balance of freedom of expression with professionalism. And there should be a group or school conversation on different views of what they believe is appropriate. On to the next slide, please. Another replacement on March is National Reading Month. Students will be celebrating by donating to the National Honor Society's book drive. These books will be donated to local libraries, including the Revere Public Library. On March 3rd, there was a memorial service to honor Sebastian, an RHS student who passed during February vacation. In order to support students, Dr. Perella advised them to attend room 110, where social workers would be gathered to provide emotional support. RHS and the Special Olympics have been spreading the word about inclusion by teaming up to put together a unified track and field team, which is really impressive. On March 9th, Dr. Perella announces resignation as the school principal. The boys basketball team made it to the state tournament. They won their last game of regular season against Lynn English and their first playoffs against Sky Tech of Springfield with a score of 73-60, which was our first playoff win since 2001. And when I found out, I realized that was way before I was born, so that's kind of shocking.
You're making us feel old.
Very, very a long time ago. The girls' team finished up the season with a record of 12-9, and senior prom will be taking place on Thursday, May 19th at Danvers Board. I also want to talk about some future plans, though they're not really future because I've been focusing on them this month and still am. There's some bullet points here. So of Weekly Voice. I've been in contact with our school news channel, the Weekly Voice. I felt that it was important to present myself to RHS students so that they know that I'm here. I'm sure that not many students know that there's a representative, much less know what their job really is. So I would like to close that bridge by being able to communicate and show how my position benefits them. Student forum. So instead of going around the school and acquiring information, I thought it would be best to like make a form, make a mess, send out. I don't want students to feel like they're another statistic, and I just want them to have more trust in me as a representative and also the school, and to make them feel as though their promises will be heard and followed through. Meetings. So I've been attending different meetings, mainly setting up my own. For example, I met with Diana Finn yesterday to talk about the ratio between student and social workers. I went to the New England Association of School and Colleges workshop, and tomorrow I'm gonna be going to the school improvement as well, just to find out ways in. So I will be able to find partners in which I can collaborate and gain new ideas. I know I can't do this work alone, so I would like to gain advice from adults and other people's perspective, so I'll be able to utilize them to my best abilities. Let's see, affinity groups. Yes, this is something that's really important to me. So I've been focusing on meeting with a lot of affinity groups. This means POC clubs, such as like the Asian Association and the Muslim Association. Those are some examples, and trying to promote any projects or help them in any way that I can. The ELL and special ed, reviewing the form that I haven't showed yet, and talking with a few teachers in person. I was able to find out some inequalities that ELL and special students face, and I'm planning on kind of diving into that a little more and investigating and hear what those educators will say for these kids and what it is that they're lacking in, so that I'm able to support them later on when I bring that issue to the school committee. So just as I said, I talked to Diana Finn yesterday for some information regarding the social workers and students ratio and just missed absences, anything that surrounds mental health, just to kind of gain a perspective on where the school and students at in their mental health. So I'll be able to come with ideas to be able to support them. In addition, I'll give you the usual information such as clubs and sports, but also hopefully I'll be able to bring back that revised form that I'll be working on with teachers, with administrators, and give you good quality work. Thank you for your patience and hearing me out. I'll make sure to bring more slides next time.
Thank you, Elney. Do any members have any questions or comments?
She's so thorough.
Very thorough, very thorough. We appreciate that.
And Elney, I just want to say, again, we'll need your help soon with a variety of students, because we'll be going through the whole section of policies that relate to the students. And we would love to have some of your input,
Yes, of course. Thank you.
starting with the dress code, I guess.
Okay, we'll move on to the public speak portion of our meeting tonight. If there are any participants who are online who would like to participate, please raise your hand. Okay. Going once? Twice? Okay, we'll move on to the superintendent report. Dr. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first piece of the superintendent's report comes from the Hill School, and they're going to talk to us about their PAUSE program. So I am going to bring up Principal Lomas. And she will tell me who else from her team is here. Hi, Melissa, can you hear me?
I absolutely can, Dr. Kelly. Thank you so much. If
Okay.
you could bring up Jill Ippolito, Penny Caliavis, Andrea Simonelli, and Colleen Roach.
Okay, they should be joining us.
Excellent. And I think everybody is here. So thank you so much, Dr. Kelly, and members of the school committee, and Mayor Arrigo for having us here tonight. We're very excited to present to you our new and revised school culture program. I am just going to give my dog a treat so he does not interrupt this entire presentation. Here you go, Mr. Churchill. Go ahead. Who we have here with us today is Jill Ippolito, who is one of our classroom teachers. Dr. Kelly, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
Penny Caliavis, who's also a classroom teacher, myself, Andrea Simonelli, who's a special education teacher, and Colleen Roach, also a special education teacher. And all of these fabulous women are members of our PAWS committee. Our connection to our school improvement goals are focused really in the strategic objective 3.1, which is to create, adopt, and apply equitable practices across the district. And our benchmark for that was that our former school culture policy, which was our expect respect policy, we wanted to revise that so that it reflects shifts in school-wide expectations and that it has more of a focus on using restorative practices to promote positive school culture. I'm going to now pass it over to the team and let them take you through the rest of the presentation, which also includes a video of some of our students.
Thank you, Melissa. Can everyone hear me? My name is Jill Ippolito, and on this slide, it just shows our school-wide philosophy. I won't read it to you, but it's basically just to support our students to become good citizens within our school and our community. We designed the program to build foundational skills necessary to foster part of our PAWS, pride, attitude, wise choices, and safety, just to ensure that our students have academic and social success. Next slide. Now I'm going to pass this off to Colleen.
Hi everyone, I'm Colleen Roach, a special education teacher, and this is our school-wide expectations. We based it off like a PBIS model where we picked the different parts of the school and set our expectations for each area. If you change the slide, we also made it friendly for everyone, so our ELLs who are still learning English, our special education students who are still learning how to read, this is accessible to everyone, and every classroom and room has this hung up so that students are always reminded of the expectations. Later we'll get into different things that we do with nominations or PAWS, but these are hung up so that the students can refer to them when nominating other students. And I think, and they go along with our monthly focus, which I'll pass it, I think, back to Penny.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So in addition to our general in-school expectations that were presented in the previous slides, the PAWS committee brainstormed some important traits that students should understand in order to better demonstrate pride, attitude, wise choices, and safety. And so you can see the focuses that the whole school has for each month. You can go to the next slide, please. And the committee worked over the summer to find and identify grade level texts to use as mentor texts for each monthly focus. We also found and created activities that teachers could use to go along with each of these texts. And the monthly focuses are consistent throughout the entire school, but we thought it would be important to make sure that each grade level has its own set of texts so that the books aren't repeated as the students progress through the grades.
Next, nope, can you go back one slide, please?
Is that good?
Thank you. Yeah, perfect, thank you. With each book for each grade level, they have corresponding activities and discussion points, and we give these to each of the teachers. It gives the teachers an objective, some talking points. Something we thought was really important was to keep an anti-racism lens in our minds. So it's adapted from multiple protocols from the Hill School Anti-Racism Committee, and keeping that at the forefront of all of the work that we're doing. Linking these books to our curriculum-based comprehension skills, and then welcoming feedback from the teachers as they use these books in their classroom, what worked well and what didn't, so we can make this even better next year.
All right, and this slide that it's looking at now is just some of the activities that the students in 5th grade did. So December's monthly theme was empathy and compassion, and they read Wonder, which is also an anchor text. And this teacher, these teachers had the students write a nice compliment to everybody in the class. And then when everyone received their compliments, they got to fill out this form. And because it was December, they had named it Deck the Halls with lots of compliments. So it was really nice to see the hallways decked in compliments. Next slide. So this is from 3rd grade, December, Empathy and Compassion. 3rd graders read the book, The 100 Dresses. And this activity tied in very nicely with the 100th day of school. So for this book, the kids got to create their own dresses. So there's just a few. Next slide. Colleen mentioned this when she presented the chart that goes up in all the classrooms, but this is a nomination form. You see it says pause, so the students can't ask the teacher, what they think. They have to go look at the chart and decide, when they see a student doing something, which part of the pod that it represents. They circle it, and they write who it's awarded to. They say the homeroom, so that way our administrators can announce it in the morning, just to let everyone know the great work the students are doing. The students then put the paw into the mailbox in the front office or in one of the offices on the 2nd floor. And from there, the class gets a paw, and the teachers just display them on the outside of the doorways. So it's really a whole class celebration. We're not really zeroing in on that individual kid, but students do take these home and share them with their families, the nomination forms. Next slide, yeah. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is the think sheets. So these are just really there for opportunities for students to reflect on their behavior if they're not having a great day. And we have them with pictures, for our students who are not reading yet, or for English language students, as well as writing for our students who are able to express themselves in words.
Okay. So we wanted to ensure that families are not only aware of the pause work that we're doing, but also that they are part of it and contribute to it. So for that reason, we sent home a letter. So February, what the monthly theme was perseverance. So for that month, we sent home a letter to families translated in multiple languages, encouraging them to write a letter or a note of encouragement to their child. This letter is a way to promote a partnership between the school and the families and to work together to develop the whole child. Here are a couple examples of letters from parents that they wrote to their children. The one on the right is in both Portuguese and English. And you can go to the next slide. And then finally, as we stated, each month the monthly focus is known school-wide. It's announced on our morning announcements, and all classrooms in grades kindergarten through 5th grade are working on that monthly focus. So this video shows students in kindergarten through 5th grade, and they are sharing what perseverance means to them.
I'm just restarting it because I didn't click the share sound and all of that, so.
Yes.
I don't have any chance anybody can email me the link to my Revere K12.org email?
Yes, I can send that to you now.
Someone stop sharing.
While we're waiting, do any committee members have any questions or comments? Mrs. Rizzo?
So I absolutely love the individual monthly focus ideas. It's so important. We've lost focus on manners. I don't know when it stopped, but this is just a wonderful way to bring this back. And the think sheets. I just started doing this with my 3-year-old granddaughter a couple of weeks ago. She's been really tough. But it allows them to be more mindful of their behaviors, and it shows them consequences after a situation has occurred. But what I really like is the sheet you have on the left for the ones that don't read. I would really appreciate a copy of that one if you have it to share.
I'll send that over to you tomorrow, Ms. Bronson-Wizzo. Definitely, no problem.
Thank you, Ms. Melissa Lomas.
Mr. Kingston?
I think the note from the parent is awesome. During the middle of the day, maybe things aren't going so well, and I think a little encouragement from somebody that, knows that the student knows, cares about them. I think it's great. It's the first time I've seen it, and I think it's really great. The whole package was great, but that really hit me, and I think some days I could use that myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kingston. Ms. Milbury-Ellis?
I would just echo John's sentiment as well. I love the family involvement and the whole idea of having the school in its entirety focused on one theme per month at a time. I think it's great. I was curious as to what the feedback was from the kids. Are they receptive to it? Are they excited about this? I mean, they must be to gain those paws and to have the most paws on their doors. So I'd be interested to hearing a little bit about that.
I can speak to that a little bit. I can tell you they get very upset if their nomination form has sat in the mailbox for too many days, and they can remind us of that quite readily. So I think that's great evidence that they're certainly bought into our new approach to school culture. And yeah, they definitely hold us accountable.
I just want to add too, I teach 3rd grade and we have a big competition in our hallway. So the kids get really excited, when they see our paws compared to somebody else's. But something I want to add is our admin does a really good job of really weeding out the ones that are general and really picking the ones that truly do represent the monthly theme. So it's kind of getting away from, so-and-so picked up a pencil on the floor.
I have to just add on to that too and just say how genuinely excited, obviously the kids who are getting them are excited, but they're even more excited to nominate their friend and have their friend get the paw from them. So that to me is more touching than the kid who's actually getting the paw. So that has been a huge eye opener and just melts your heart every day too.
Ms. Scrively, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Mayor Rigo. I was just going to comment on the nominations, but that's how we got started into it. And I was also going to say, similar to what Colleen said, I think it's great that a child will nominate a classmate, and what a great feeling that is. And if I heard correctly, the parents get to see that their child was got the paw from a classmate. I'm not sure if I heard that correctly during the presentation. Yes. And that just makes a parent feel great that one of the classmates is, paying attention to what their child is doing and appreciates that, they're getting nominated for doing something good. So it's all great.
Okay. Ms. Tai?
Well, I love that you've used the word perseverance, and I'm happy to know that the children out of the Hill School will know how to spell it. because that's something that is so often misspelled by so many different people. And I think that the child will help gain that perseverance and be supported in that from the letters at home. The letters from home are a wonderful thing. I can just picture in my mind a little kid just looking inside when, you know, when there's a tear going to come down and here's a letter from mom or grandma or anybody, you know, inside.
Absolutely.
And by the way, do they have more than one letter in there? Can they keep that? Or is it the same letter for a longer period of time? Or how does that work?
So, excuse me, Perseverance was the first month that we started, that we had the idea for the letter. It's definitely something that we will improve for next year and have it for every month. But yes, they do keep the Perseverance letter so that they'll keep it for the year and they can always look back at it.
Very nice, thank you.
Thank you.
I think I have the video ready to
Awesome.
queue up if
Let
we
it rip.
can. Let me see if I can do this right.
So these are, I think I mentioned this, but it's students in kindergarten through 5th grade sharing what Perseverance means to them. What is Perseverance? Go.
Persistent means that you're working really hard on something. Perseverance is when something's hard for you, you try again and again and again. Perseverance to me is when you try to do something and it's difficult, but you never stop trying. Perseverancia significa para ellos que nunca te rindes a algo que estás tratando a hacer. Y si miras a otro amigo haciendo la cosa incorrecta, ayúdale y decirle que haga la cosa correcta.
To me, perseverance means to never give up and be determined to do something. Perseverance is about not giving up. Say you're on a really hard math problem. Just don't give up.
No such
Keep
thing.
trying. If it helps, you can skip the problem and go back to it when you're completely finished. Or ask your teacher for help.
Oh, Elni.
Oh, I just wanted to translate what the kid who was speaking Spanish said, because I'm pretty sure all of
Yeah.
you.
I was gonna ask Doc.
She has my back.
Yes. So basically, his definition of what perseverance is that if you see a friend or a peer struggling, to notify them and help them in the situation so that you could overcome it together. That was his definition.
That's great.
Thank you.
All right, well,
And that's our presentation.
Team Hill, thank you so much. You guys did an amazing job, and this was great. Now, everybody get a good night's sleep. It's only Wednesday tomorrow. Should I just roll on?
Dr. Kelly, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Our second presentation tonight is by the Susan B. Anthony Middle School, and they are going to talk to us about their after-school clubs. So I'm going to bring up Principal Willett, and then she will tell me who else. I believe, I'm going to assume Assistant Principal McLaughlin, Assistant Principal Buhes, Mr. Edelman, Ms. Butler, and are Charlie and Hannah with you, Joanne?
Hannah should be here, and Marissa.
I have Hannah, I have Marissa. What about Charlie? Is,
Maya? Tinder?
no Maya.
Okay.
The only, well, unless Charlie, would Maya be under the name Charlie?
I have a dog named Charlie. So it could be.
Charlie has their hand raised. I'm going to bring Charlie up and we can find out who that is. Ah,
Hi,
Chuck.
I'm so sorry. My name is Charlie. It's actually my.
Okay. Thank you, Myra.
My
Okay. So let me just get your presentation queued up here. After I close 900 of these 10,000
Can I say
windows.
something very quickly?
Sure thing.
Okay, first of all, this is like the middle school that I went to, and I noticed a lot of teachers up there who teached me back in SBA, and I just want to say hi. This is Elmi. I don't know if you guys remember me, but I miss you guys.
So proud of you, Elmi.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share your presentation here, and Joanne, you can kick us off.
All right, great. Good evening, Mayor Rego, members of the school committee, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Garcia, and Elmi. Thank you for inviting us here this evening. Tonight, I'll be presenting with my team from SBA. We have assistant principals Ann McLaughlin, James Hayes, staff members Ben Appleman, Alex Butler, and students Marissa Hoare, Hannah Arati, and Maya Tinder. So this evening, we would like to share a little overview and a snapshot of our after-school clubs and programs that we offer to our students. So after-school clubs are really an extension of the day for many of our students and staff, providing positive youth development and a safe space for our students. So this year, you can scroll on. So this year we've had over 215 students participate in one or more clubs, which is approximately 40% of our student body. And on the next slide, you'll see an overview of the various clubs that we offer. So this is actually a slide that we share with our fifth graders when they visit the middle school for the middle school course, providing an overview of the clubs and activities we offer. And in an upcoming slide, you'll hear from one of our students reference this slide later in the presentation. Dr. Kelly, we have sent a link to Robin. I don't know if you have access to that right now, because you're not going to be able to hear the videos that are embedded through this.
Okay, I'm
video.
sure I do. Let me go, if I can get this thing to stay up. School committee.
All right, so you can scroll on to the next slide right now, if you want.
Okay.
So right here is a montage of the different slides or promotional advertisements that the club advisors would create for their clubs. We mail these home to our, email them home to the students, and also we'll post them on different social media to advertise the clubs, to generate interest for the students, and again, promote the clubs. So in the upcoming slides, we're going to highlight a few clubs and have a few students, along with a couple of club advisors, share with you their experiences and the importance and the impact that clubs have on them.
You want to go to the next slide, Dr. Coates? Thank you. So ceramics club that we have presented by Ms. Cabral, it's actually split into two parts of the year. So this way we provide students with an opportunity for more students to be able to join ceramics club after school. One in the first half of the year and one in the second. So of course we have two of our 8th graders that are just added during the first semester. The ceramics was fun and a good learning experience because we get to express our creativity and socialize with friends. In our Power of No Club, we have the ability to set up a food drive where we provided Thanksgiving baskets for members of the SBA community. They created blankets for local animal shelter. Then they set up a mentor program for reading to students at the Wayland Elementary. Now we'll hear from an 8th grader and some of the benefits that he has for the club.
And I'm just going to try to find that link that you would have sent to Robin. I'm going to
Forwarding it, I think I'm going to forward it to you.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Because
Would it be easy if I shared my screen, Dr. Kelly?
I think I have it right here. Did you send me the presentation, Joanne, or the videos?
It's the presentation, it's the link for the presentation.
I don't know if this is the same. All right, let me just try to get back to that slide for a minute. Oh, yeah, this is different. Okay. So then let me go. Ay, ay, ay. I need a Zoom assistant. All right, let's go here. Okay.
There we go.
Anthony Middle School. I'm here to tell you what SBA Clubs has presented to me. I have had amazing opportunities at SBA with their clubs. My first one is after COVID. I lacked with a lot of social skills and how to present myself in certain situations. But being interactive in the clubs that we do here at SBA has made me a better communicator, and I've learned to communicate a lot more. SBA is wonderful for clubs. It has made me gain a lot more friends than usual, and that is why I think you should join SBA clubs. Thank you.
So again, that was Stephen, one of our 8th graders, talking about some of the benefits that he's personally had from our clubs. One of our most attended clubs is Drama Club. We have 72 students participate from grades 6, 7, and 8. Each year we usually put on performances for drama. This year, because of COVID, we did not put on any performances, but we do plan to continue those into the future. Then I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Butler to represent the community club.
Thanks, Mr. Luis. Dr. Kelly, I think our slides are on the next, or start on the next slide.
Okay.
My name's Aya, and I'm
If you click where the advisors was.
Okay, let me go here.
Yep.
You guys are so tricky with these links. Okay. Yeah, you're seeing the right thing, right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you. So I have to mention Sabrina Sloan helps run the community club with myself, and she's really the person that came up with this idea. She teaches 7th grade ELA. We started the community club because we felt like it's important for students to not only help those within their school community, but also within the Revere community. We also noticed that there's a community service requirement at the high school, but there's not one at the middle school, so we thought it would be a cool opportunity for students to start their service at an earlier age or a little bit before they get to the high school. And on the next couple slides, we'll show you some of the activities we've done as a club. I think this was our first activity, and I think it was our most successful. We did a spirit week, or a non-uniform week, to raise money for families who needed assistance for holiday meals, especially during Thanksgiving. Students ended up raising over $1,000. It was really the students who came up with the dates for the spirit week, the categories for each day, collected money, advertised it, so they did all the hard work. We just kind of were there to support them. And if you could go to the next slide, Dr. Kelly, thank you. We did an after-school cleanup. Students took trash bags in a group. We walked the perimeter of the SBA and Wayland schools. We found a lot of trash and were able to pick it all up. And the school grounds looked really nice after we did so. We worked with the Power of No Club to make blankets for the animal shelter. Students helped us cut the fabric, and then, I don't know if you've ever seen them before, they're the blankets where you tie the knots with 2 pieces of fabric. And a employee from the shelter came to pick them up and kind of talked about how much it meant to the animals and kind of what they used the blankets for. So I think this was maybe the students' favorite activity. They were really excited to give some of the puppies the blankets. This was our most recent project. We had fundraised money and then bought different kind of care kit supplies, such as toothbrushes, toothpaste, face wipes, masks. We put together over 100 care kits and we donated them to the Boston Health Care for the Homeless program. Students had a lot of fun putting them together, and again, they did a lot of the organizing and the groundwork for it. We've seen the impact on students has been awesome. We have a pretty consistent group that will show up, but we still have new members coming from 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Students are working on brainstorming and planning. We will vote for the next project, so students are picking what we work on, and then they're pitching it to admin to get it approved, and they're helping plan everything, whether it's fundraising money and collecting donations at lunch, whether it's going around and advertising it, posting flyers around the school, or making slides for homeroom. We're hoping by participating in Community Club that we're helping students see opportunities for service and to see how important it is to help others in their community, both in and outside of school. It's also a chance to be a leader. A lot of students have stepped up and really done an impressive job. So we've had a lot of fun doing it with them. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm trying to get back to your original presentation. Let me try hitting escape.
My name's Sarah, and I'm in the 6th grade.
Sorry, did you want to say anything before I roll into this video? Go ahead, Ann.
No, that's totally fine.
Okay.
And I think being in class is really important because I get to see my friends that aren't in other classes. And in like debate club, we get to debate about actual real life stuff, and I feel like your voice is heard. I also like the Revere club, which you create stuff that helps express how I feel without actually having to say anything.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. Aya just mentioned the debate club, which is one of our clubs that meets on Thursdays, and they research and debate. They research and debate, should school uniforms be banned, things like should zoos be illegal, and the very hotly contested, is a hot dog a sandwich? The answer is no. The next slide talks about our Gender Sexuality Alliance, and we have some quotes from students, and so one of them says, this is from our 8th grader Carl, who says, I enjoy the GSA and it's beneficial to the school because it gives young LGBT kids a support system and a place to be themselves and to make friends with other people like them. And then right in the middle, Dr. Kelly, is that microphone. There's a video right there. I mean, a sound clip.
When I first toured the Susan B. Anthony Middle School back in 5th grade, I immediately knew what club I was looking for. As they're bringing us into the auditorium, they start showing the introduction slides. Once they end up on the club slide, I saw it, the GSA. A perfect place to be yourself without outsiders knowing. At this time, I had to come out to my family, and I thought the GSA would be the perfect place to be myself. SPA prioritizes making their students feel as safe as possible, and the GSA is a major part of making that happen. It gives LGBTQ plus students a safe place to go when they need support and people to talk to if they're struggling mentally and or with bullying. The GSA gives people who don't have a supporting family environment a place to feel safe, supported, and loved by others. The GSA also gives students a place to forget their hardships and give them a place to let loose and relax a little after a long day, which is especially important for kids and teens nowadays. The GSA is also a great place to make friends and meet people with different or similar interests. During my time there, I met a variety of different people and unique people. To me, the GSA feels like a second family who is safe and supportive, which is why it's important to the Susan B. Anthony community.
Thank you. And so they meet weekly, and they have been to meetings with DESE. They partnered with the Massachusetts Safe Schools program. They've also recently partnered with a local organization whose nickname or their acronym is ELISAC. And so that is what's happening in our GSA. And so our next club is our Writers Club. And before I introduce them, I wanted to show you that picture in the middle where those kids look very sad. That happened because I had to tell the kids that Writers Club had to be canceled one afternoon, and they were very, very upset about it. So I'm going to introduce our Writers Club advisor, Mr. Adelman, and he will introduce his writers to you.
Hi, I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present. Dr. Kelly, there is a note in the chat. I believe that Hannah needs to be readmitted into this meeting.
Okay. I will try to find her.
Okay. And I just want to give a shout out to Ellie too. It's great to see you using your voice in a productive way. I always know you do great things, Ellie, so I'm glad to see you here.
Thank you.
All right.
Hannah should be back with us.
All right, great. Thank you. So we started Writers Club last year when we were fully remote. And as I was getting to know my new students, I observed that many of them were writers by nature. And by that, I mean they were the types of people who make sense of the world and who process and communicate best through writing. For many students, remote learning was a very isolating time. And so my goals for Writers Club were to build community and to connect young writers with each other so that they could find a supportive audience. With the support of Principal Willette and with our literacy coach, Christine Gray, we launched the club. We met weekly on Google Meet, which is like Zoom. And the club was attended by students in all 3 grades in our school. And students shared their writing, which included a lot of poems, short stories, portions of novels that different students were working on, and other ideas in progress. We wrote together out of common prompts, we had a lot of fun, and students connected with each other and found an audience that supported and encouraged their creativity. This year, the club continues. We meet on Thursday afternoons in person, thankfully. And it is a new group of students, and it has a very different vibe to it, very different feel. It is still open to all students, although most of our students are 6th and 7th graders, and we have about 8 to 10 students per week. In contrast to last year, when the tone of the club was a lot more serious and a lot more deep, as students were grappling with the difficulties of remote learning and being isolated for all that time. In contrast to all that, there's much more of a fun tone in Writers Club. This year we're focused on, we will write stories in rounds, so everybody takes a piece of the story and passes the paper, and then we finish it and we read it. And it's usually pretty off the wall and fun. Students will also make their own writing prompts and then share them with each other, so you have to write off of what somebody else prompted you to write, which you can make for some interesting pieces. We enjoy snack together, but at its core, Writers Club is still the same as it's always been, which is it's a safe space where students can express themselves creatively and spend time with peers who share a love of writing. I'm really happy to have 3 of our core members with us today to share their points of view on Writing Club. So we have Maya, Marissa, and Hannah, and I'm going to ask Hannah to go first, please.
I come to Writers Club because I love writing and drawing stories and sharing the stories with my friends, and it feels like I'm doing something, if you know what I mean. Sharing stories with people is really fun. I love writing and drawing. That's why I came to Writers Club. And I like the snacks too.
How about Mr. Edelman? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's good.
I try to bring good snacks. Thank you, Hannah. Let's hear from Marissa next, please. Not sure.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Marissa. She's here, but I don't know if you have your audio on.
Okay, well, let's go to Maya then, and if Marissa, if you get your audio working, then we will come back to you.
Hello, my name is Maya Tinder, and what I like most about Writers Club is that I get a chance to share my writing with other people, and I have a really big passion for writing. So I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Adelman for creating this amazing club and giving me the chance to write. And I also can't forget to thank you for the snacks because they're very delicious.
Thank you, Maya. We have a running joke sort of that it used to be Writers Club and sometimes snacks happen, and now it's Snack Club and sometimes writing happens. Marissa, are you able to speak? I think maybe Marissa is having technical difficulties, but I just want to say, there she is.
It's very low, Marissa, but we can almost hear you. Do you have headphones plugged in, Marissa? That might be no headphones. No, okay.
Marissa, if you want to just put in the chat what you love about Writers Club. I'm sorry your audio is not working very well. I will say, Marissa is one of our core members. She has been there since the beginning of this school year, and she's always a very active participant. So she's wonderful to have in our club. All of them are. And thanks to all of you for presenting tonight.
Thank you.
Great job.
Great job.
Is it, Joanne, will I go back to the slideshow, or was that the last club?
That was the last club.
Okay.
I think there was just one more slide.
Okay, let me go.
And it was just a thank you slide.
Okay, so then we will leave that off. I do want to just read that Marissa did just put in the chat, I came to Writers Club because I love writing and coming up with story ideas, and I love the snacks and having fun. Great job.
Yes, so the final slide was just to acknowledge and thank you, Dr. Kelly, and the school committee for funding the after-school programs, because it is such a wonderful opportunity for the students to be able to explore the different offerings and really extend their day. And one of the videos was a little bit low, and I'm not sure if you could hear what I had to say about the debate club and the robotic and the game club that she's in after school. But she has a chance to meet other students that aren't in her classes, and also see friends that she doesn't have classes with as well. So it really is like a nice social emotional piece of their day, and a social gathering for kids as well. So thank you again for funding all of our clubs and giving kids and teachers this opportunity as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Milbury Ellis.
There's no doubt that the SBA has great clubs going on. I'm just wondering, have you gotten a pulse on the reason as to why you don't have more participation? And if so, if there, what efforts are being made to maybe get some more participation? These are just really such great clubs that, I wish that more students were taking advantage of them.
Well, I think some of it may have to do with COVID, and some kids maybe, not comfortable staying after more than just the school day. But we also have a lot of kids that stay after and take advantage of department night with teachers. And many of the kids do participate in more than one club. So we do have a lot more students staying after for multiple clubs. We also have 3 new clubs starting that are going to be big draws. We have basketball coming up, soccer, and gardening clubs. So we also have middle school sports that take place. So there are other things that draw students after school as well.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation and for these wonderful clubs.
You're welcome.
We'll move on. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Great job. Okay, the next item on the superintendent's report is a presentation from our communications coordinator. And Ann is here with us in person tonight. So welcome, Ann.
If I tried to do this from home, my cat would not leave me alone. He's obsessed with Zoom, so I kind of have to like keep him away from it. It was really fun during remote learning when I was a paraprofessional. That was a lot of fun. I think, is that good? Am I too loud?
No, you're great.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just going to pull up your presentation.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Kelly and Mayor Arrigo and the rest of the school committee for giving me this opportunity. This is really just going to be a pretty bare bones introduction. I'm a brand new position this year. I was only hired just in June, so I've been here for, I can't do math, 8 months, 9 months. So I'm really kind of like developing it as I go. So this is just kind of like what I've been working on, what I foresee. A lot of this will probably change, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. So we're talking about communication strategies and goals. This is just a little bit about me, my background. I graduated from Salem State in 2009 with a bachelor's in English and a minor in philosophy, which essentially meant that I also had to take a concentration in professional writing, lest I have that liberal arts degree. I then went to UMass Dartmouth, where I completed my master's program in professional writing as well. While I was there as a teaching assistant, so I taught business writing, tech writing, and also composition. My job experience is all over the place. I've done a lot of time in retail. I was also an adjunct professor at Salem State University, also teaching composition, business writing, and I was also responsible for the senior portfolio capstone class in their professional writing program. And then before coming here, I was a paraprofessional at Swampscott Middle School, and I also worked in their integrated preschool. So almost all of my job experience I call customer facing. We can go to the next slide. And this is just a little bit of what I foresee my job description being. So I think the primary one we know is going to be marketing and publicity. I've been working a lot on flyers. We did some community events. Unfortunately, with COVID, that's been a little bit iffy with being able to like get a bunch of people together. But that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to working on more now that the numbers are going down. And I also do work with schools on some community projects with Paul Amato, who I work pretty closely with, going in videos, interviews, pictures, trying to get a sense of what's going on in the schools so that we can post it to the website. I'm working on ensuring communication tools are effective and useful. This is part of my short and long-term goal, but I've spent a good portion of my time trying to look at what we use to communicate, how we communicate, what we can do a little bit better, what we can kind of pare away from. I think that one of my main goals is to kind of streamline what we're doing, because the communications that I've seen, and I'm not saying that we don't have a ton of great communicators in this district, because we absolutely do. I think our methods could probably be streamlined a little bit. So that's also something I'm going to be working on. I work on the website with Paul Amato. I'm sure you all know we just completely redesigned the whole thing, and it looks amazing. I also participate on the Equity Advisory Board in the Community Engagement, the Family Engagement and Community Relations Working Group, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to be a part of that. It's really a joy in my life and my time here. Next slide, please. These are some of my recent projects. I think at one of these, my reputation may precede me because I know you've all seen that Paul Revere transportation flyer before because I did my homework and watched the other school committee meetings. I've also done some other flyers. So the one on the bottom left is for a family engagement night that we have. I work on those with Doug Goodwin. There to provide sources and resources for families and students experiencing homelessness. And we've been doing a lot of promotion and hiring recently, so the big flyer is kind of just a version of how I would try to entice somebody to come work here. So these are just like some of the basic designs that I've been working on. You don't have to click on the website. This is, you can click on the next slide. So these are our communication lines. So the way I see it, there are 4 groups of people in the school community that receive and give communication. So we have admin. Admin is Dr. Kelly, the assistant superintendents, people in central office. They do a lot of to the community, to faculty, to students, and to families. So the admin pretty much communicates with everybody. And then we have teachers, families, and students. Teachers communicate to families and students and to admin. They get communication from admin. Families communicate to teachers. They get communication from teachers, and then also admin. Students communicate mostly probably from teachers, but also to their families and to teachers, and occasionally they do get communications from admin. So that's just kind of the web that we have in terms of our communication lines. Next slide. All right, so this is what I was talking about. We use so many tools, and a lot of them are really, really amazing. Obviously, we use Swift K-12. That's mostly for just basic information that goes out from admin. A lot of the elementary schools use Class Dojo, which is really, really user-friendly for elementary schools. It's a little bit geared young for high school and older grades, but it's a really good way for families and students to kind of interact with their school and their school community. Remind and Talking Points are pretty much just text apps. We all know Google Suite. S'more is actually a new service that we brought in this year. It's for making newsletters. Can you just click on that S'more link for me? I just want to show you this. This is going to be a, hopefully, crossing fingers. Might not.
I might have to stop sharing and then reshare.
Okay. This is just going to be an example of a s'more that Madeline Ceballos from the Hill School made. She's the mindfulness coach for the district, and it's just a really, really good example of what s'more can do. So this is what the newsletter looks like when you come to look at it. One of the nice things, if you scroll back up to the top, you see that translate button. If you click that, you can automatically translate the newsletter into a ton of different languages. So you don't have to worry about the accessibility issue in terms of translation because it has the interface on its own. It also has metrics, so you can view how many people are looking at it, how many times they've clicked, how many times they've clicked off of other links. So this is a new program that I brought in this year with the help of Jennifer Labanita, who's the director of EL and World Language. You can go back to the presentation. If you want to scroll through it, you can. They do a lot of like family stories and recipes and book club stuff. It's really, really cool. All right. And then we all, I don't think I need to describe Zoom. We all have way more experience with Zoom than we need. And there's other things we use like Twitter that pretty much everybody has some sort of access to. So my short-term goals, these are things that I want to do this year, that most of them will probably be done over the summer. One is to develop a brand for Revere. So developing a more robust social media presence, maybe moving in, like looking into using something like Instagram, getting maybe a little bit more Twitter activity, maybe starting some more Twitter accounts for some of the schools. I know that the family liaisons like to tweet. I know that a lot of the administration does a great job tweeting. If we can make that a little more student-centric, that might be kind of cool. Once again, something we're looking into. And also like a hiring brand. So when we're looking for applicants, we have a steady packet to go to. So we have like a brochure and a flyer and maybe like a presentation or a video, something like that, so that everybody who's coming in as a new employee gets kind of the same information and it kind of looks the same, so that people know, oh, this is definitely Revere. I want to analyze some of the current tools that we're using. Like I said, we use a lot, and I think some of them are really, really good. I think a lot of them are really, really good, but I think some of them are underutilized, and some of them we probably don't need to work with as much as we do, but that's something that's going to take the participation of faculty, students, admin, to kind of figure out what's working and what isn't. I would love at least one more pro Zoom account, mostly because Zoom is great, but the issue with regular Zoom clients is that you don't have the option to have an interpreter present. And for some meetings, that's really important to have that feature. And having the one account has been working okay, because we can share it, and the schedule works well. Robin Panzini is fantastic with that. I think getting one more probably wouldn't be the worst thing ever, and it's not super expensive. Luckily, my department is relatively inexpensive. And I want to open up a Canva for Education account. Canva is what I use to make all those posters and flyers. It's super easy to use. It's all drag and drop. And then when I get the Canva for Education account, everybody in the district will have access to it. That means students, faculty, teachers, the whole 9 yards. It does require IT for setup, but once again, it's free. So, longer term goals, analyzing and streamlining, maybe looking towards using Microsoft instead of Zoom. And then I'm thinking about our translation and interpreters. This is something that comes up a lot in my equity group, but that I think might be something that we need to push back even more. Go to the last slide. And then, once again, integrating the communication system with social media, how we communicate to the family and community, how members of the school community interact with each other. Renovating the PIC Center is something that has also been coming up in my working group for the advisory board. And then along with renovating the PIC, maybe opening up welcoming centers in all of the schools. So when you walk in, there's a screen like the one we have over here. There's a little video. Students will get a welcome packet. Maybe it has like erasers or bookmarks or a pocket dictionary, just something to kind of like get them excited to be there. They can get a tour from another student, which gives them a point of contact when they arrive. And then maybe putting like bulletin boards outside of the individual schools, just so if you walk by or you're coming up to the school, you get like a good visual representation of what's happening in that school, especially for parents that might give them more of a reason to kind of interact with their schools and their students. And that's the end of my presentation. Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, any members have any questions? Mrs. Rizzo?
I just, you mentioned about switching over to Microsoft. What is your preference with that versus Google Suite?
It's not really between Google Suite and Microsoft. It's more, I want Teams more for the video conferencing. They do have a better video conferencing feature, I find, than Zoom. I know we're all used to Zoom, so this might be a pipe dream. But they also have Microsoft Teams, which I'm going to be dating myself, maybe not. Anybody remember AOL chat rooms? Yeah. That's kind of what Microsoft Teams is like, is you set up a little chat room and then anybody who's a member of that chat room can sit there and chat back and forth with each other, not necessarily in real time. So you can have like 4th grade teachers in one chat room, or you can have EL teachers in another chat, and they can just constantly use it and communicate with each other. It's a really good way of sharing resources.
Mr. Franti.
Thank you, Chairman. You wanted to obtain more Zoom accounts, and we have one now?
Right.
How many more are you looking to obtain?
I would want at least one more, but I would recommend getting one for each of the assistant superintendents, so that would be another 3.
So you want 4 then?
4 altogether. I think one more would be a good place to start. We might not need that many. I would start with adding one more for the time being.
Why would you think we need it for these assistant superintendents?
Just because they're admin, so they would be the people who would be able to like schedule those meetings.
So I can clarify, right now, I have the Zoom Pro account myself, so if, for example, Jen Labolita wants to do a virtual ELL meeting for parents, she uses my account. And where we sometimes bump into a problem is when there's, let's say, a CPAC meeting and somebody wants to use my account for some other reason. I won't even try to speculate, but it happens that there are conflicts. Yeah. And even if I have a meeting that I'm supposed to be on in Zoom, I can't use it, I can't log into my meeting because somebody else is using my account. So that's where we run into problems sometimes. We do have, the principals have a couple of pro accounts. So it might be sufficient for us to make those into district accounts that anybody can, we could have like account, instead of me having an account, it could be RPS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the right people can have the passwords and we can assign them that way. So that might be a way for us to approach this.
I think that's a great way to approach it, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And I just have one final question. I noticed that you wanted to say about hire part-time interpreters at $150 an hour. Doesn't that seem excessive?
That would only be for like IEP meetings specifically, or parent-teacher meetings. That's the average. That doesn't mean that would necessarily be the total cost. And that's also, I think especially for IEP meetings, it's important because they're legal meetings, and the JRTC does a great job with the interpretation. They really, really do. But with legally binding meetings like that, it's a little...
We do have interpreters that do the IEP meetings.
I've been misinformed.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
They might occasionally use a JROTC member if there's not an interpreter available, or if we're not notified in advance that an interpreter is needed. But we can, work on that.
Yeah. That was something that came up with Estefani Wixon, that's something that she was commenting on as well.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but I'm not, we use JROTC to interpret at parent meetings.
Okay.
Because, for example, at the high school, we have like 900 parents
Right.
here
Oh, yeah.
at a time, so there might be 150 or 200 that need an interpreter. So to have 200 people on hand at $150 an hour would be cost prohibitive.
Right.
So we
no.
do use JROTC for that. But when we have calls home to parents or IEP meetings, we use our interpreter services.
Okay.
And we do, we have the folks who work for us, but we also have an agency that we use specifically for IEP meetings that we budget about $200,000 a year for. So
I interviewed a lot of people about this. Unfortunately, maybe I didn't get like all the correct information.
It happens.
Yeah, in addition, we have also family liaisons.
Right.
We have received training,
Yeah.
special training on.
I was going to mention that as well, that might be a goal that we push back, because the family liaisons have been taking these classes, and a lot more of the family liaisons are taking them, so they are becoming licensed interpreters. So this might not even be something that we really need to worry about so much. It was just something that's come up a lot in conversations that I've had with various people, mostly in my my equity working group, but occasionally from other people that comes up as an issue.
Any other members? Thank you.
I just want to say,
Doctor.
I just want to say a few I just want to, thank Ann for the presentation. Also say a few words about the work that she's done. If you look at the school website, she's been working with Paul on that platform. Has been completely revamped with all the links. She's done a good job in terms of really putting something out there that really is not an embarrassment for our district. So she's done a good job, and she also has worked with me very closely on developing those flyers and other types of means of communication. So this is her first year, obviously. There's much to be learned about the district, but I think she's on the right path to become a successful, communication coordinator in the district. And I'll do my best to support her the best I can.
Thanks, Doc.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc.
And thank you, Ann.
Thanks.
The next item on the superintendent's report is actually some information, again, from the Equity Advisory Board about some bias documents that Dr. Garcia is going to present. And give me a second, Doc, to get that presentation up. Okay, I don't know if I have the right thing. Doc, you don't have to stand up there, you can.
Thank you.
Bye, Elnie.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Ellie, I'm gonna email you.
Tell me if I have the right thing. Is this right?
That's those are the forms.
Okay, and we're just gonna briefly show those, right?
Yeah, so, it's a presentation, but I don't have to.
No, I can. I just pulled up the first thing that I saw.
It looks like this. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So the presentation, tonight's presentation will focus on a bias reporting form. This idea was presented last year by the board, but then this year, the work really, the Equity Advisory Board selected members have really took upon this task very seriously with the support of the Office of Valerie Dominilli and Hillman. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but with John Foskett. So I'm going to start by starting the presentation, the first slide, which basically focuses on some of the contexts that are in our schools and also in our country. I would say that everything we do in school, starting with politics, economics, social, it's a pure reflection of what's going on at the macro level. So whether it be a decision that we make about the budget, it's political. So whether is a perception of minority students or ELL students, it's also that brings a lot in terms of implicit bias, unconscious bias, and so on and so forth. Anything, you see big words here, unfortunately, we cannot avoid those big words because those are the reality that we are experiencing in this country and also in our schools. Our school culture is really shaped by those forces. There's no other way we can say it. And obviously, we all, even here around this table, we all have our own worldviews, our perspectives, our experience. That shapes policies, practices, and procedures in our schools. So, unconscious bias, discrimination, microaggression, racism, sexism, or whatever you want to call it, misogyny, those are realities in our schools. So teachers, including students, have been pushing along and basically telling us there are certain things that are happening in our school. They need a reporting form where they can really express their frustrations and acts of aggression that sometimes happen in classrooms and also happen in our schools. And these forms that I'm going to go over with, with you over, is basically a form that many institutions around our country, universities, schools, they all have these forms. It's a way to really make sure that, we hold people accountable, we educate people, and we continue our work in terms of dismantling systemic racism. So it's just a reality. I wish we did not have these practices and, things, but unfortunately we do have them. And a big time, it reflects big time on the ways in which gradings are assigned to students, some words here and there about, people of color. Those things happen all the time. And as a result of this, we decided to put a team together that came from the Equity Advisory Board. And this team was made up of teachers, students, an attorney, and different other people who really have worked very hard on a reporting form, on a bias reporting form. The first form you're going to see is the one that basically sets the tone for the other reporting forms, which is the bias reporting opening remarks. That form or that introduction technically tell us why we're doing this, what's the need of this. It talks about the purpose, commitment, it talks about the way in which certain acts can be reported, and it also talks about other things like, for example, purpose, commitment, handling the way we handled certain complaints, privacy, confidentiality, and so on and so forth. So this is certainly, this work was not done just by us. This was properly vetted by attorney John Foskett and he was with us along the way, changing the language, tweaking sentences, making sure that it's a good product. So then this basically is the first form, which is this form that is actually the way it was stapled. The last form should have been on the top of the rest of the forms that you see here. So if you could move a form that's called Report of Bias for Discrimination / Harassment involving a Revere public school student or family care, that should be the first.
Do I have the right one up here?
No.
No. So it's the last one. That's the last form, it should be the first. It was just stapled, So that's the first one. It basically talks about, what we believe, our values, what do we believe in. We believe in an equitable system that really does not discriminate against people. We believe in, in a diverse environment where people really get together and basically they treat each other fairly, just, and things like that. So we don't want the practice that really undermines and dehumanizes our kids and our faculty members and our families. So we want to move towards really an environment that is very equitable, just, and fair for everyone. So one word of caution, if we move, this is the first page. These two pages, that's the one. So it talks about, it sets the tone for other forms that are coming. So.
And these are long forms, but people can read this online in the school committee packet.
Right. So these forms will be online. They will be online, people read it, and they'll know the purpose and intent of our public schools. The second form, which talks about the reporting form for bias and discrimination, harassment against Revere Public School students, families, and caregivers.
Can I pause you for 1 minute?
Right, yeah, sure.
This first form, before we move on to the second one, is a draft policy change, which
Correct.
would require a vote of the school committee.
Correct, yes.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is too, and we'll talk more about it, but we had just gotten notice for some mass laws of 3 different policies. Yours touches base on a little of each of those policies, so we'll have to work together on, like, one would go into the student part, and one would go into our commitment and foundation. So a little later on, we'll talk more about it, but that would be our policy, and some of your work here is the procedures, which would go into handbooks.
Sure, thank you, yeah. So, this form, which basically talks about the way in which these type of cases can be reported. So, I just wanna award.
Which form, can I just, so that I can pull it up?
So this one,
Okay, that's the one that I had up initially?
Right,
Okay,
yeah.
all right,
on top is actually, there's a section in red.
okay, yep, let me just, okay. Correct?
Yeah, that's correct, that's the form. So this form, actually, if you see that section in red, that's basically telling people that, you know, if they have an emergency situation involving an immediate threat to anyone, health or safety, this is not the form for that purpose. They can call 911 immediately. So, and then they can call and also still report it. You know, that's, you know, the two things go together. They'll report it, and then they'll still kind of go there and, you know, basically fill out the form. So it talks about, you know, also about the values, the privacy and confidentiality. People can read, there's a lot of text here. I'm not gonna go over it. And also the zero tolerance for retaliation. And then all the links that will follow. So we start with the important links to really remind people where they can go and file certain things, depending upon the offense and depending upon on the things that basically they were reporting upon. So then the next document, it's actually the form. This form. So this is where people are, you know, people, offended people, people who have been targeted, can go and report the incident. So it talks about all, again, there's a reminder here, if there's an emergency, they have to report and call 911, and then if they want to report it, they'll go and, you know, they'll follow the form. It's all clear, you know. It was done in such a way that, and this, by the way, when we translate it, you know, into different language, obviously people, they can report in whatever language they want. And our job is to really vet this form, depending on the offense. It could go to school, it can go to me, and we review it, and certainly we'll follow up on that. The goal is really, it's not just punishing people or it's basically about educating people, because some of the things that people say sometimes, they need to be educated. That's the bottom line. But there are places where, you know, that's why it says zero tolerance policy. We do not tolerate certain behaviors in our school. Issues of racism, sexism, and things like that needs to be really properly dealt with.
And this, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be a live link on the website, so somebody could fill this form out electronically right from the website.
Correct, yes. Okay. This is all upon approval, upon you gave a blessing and it's approved. This is all will be on the website where people can go and basically report incidents of racism and all that sort of things. Yes.
Dr. Garcia, is it possible if we can have some kind of, what's the word I want, scan, like, my gosh, that students themselves, because more than likely they're not gonna go on the website, but if it's in different parts of the building, yeah, a QR code?
Yes, they can do that, they can, that's good.
Yeah.
Or a parent, or anybody. So this is gonna be online, but if somebody wants to fill it out by hand and give it to me, give it to us, that's okay too. Because many of our parents, and probably they don't have, I'm making a big assumption here, but they might not be having computer skills and they basically are afraid of technology. That can go, they can, you know, hard copies will be available in each building, they can go and fill it out. It's no problem with that.
Okay.
So then it goes on. I mean, you know, it's a long form, but it's necessary. All the things here are necessary. Obviously it took us a lot of hours to really work on this form. You know, every step of the way. It sounds that after a while, John Foskett, certainly he was like a team member. He would come here, so, you know, He was email us. He was basically a team member, not an attorney. He really put his soul into this work with us. It was very good. So then, this is the form, and then he also discovered that that is going to be next document.
The bullying prevention one?
Yeah, that's the one that yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm looking for. There's another form that was updated.
I think it's the third one in the packet.
I apologize. Okay, thanks a lot. So the bullying prevention intervention plan, incident reporting form, John also believed that our current form was outdated. So he decided to really work on the bullying prevention and intervention plan, incident report form, because he thought that in order for us to be in compliance, that form needs to be updated. So we took we took his advisement and actually worked on this form as well. And this is the last form that basically was revised, and it's it's ready to go. It's basically the form that we have online, but he took it and reformatted the form and make it in a way that we are not out of compliance. So that's my presentation today. I just want to take the time to really acknowledge the work that the team put together. There were a lot of people involved in this work. We got Jamie Flynn. She's the Executive Director of Data and Accountability and the Equity Advisory Board member. Dr. Stacy Mulligan, Seacoast Principal on the Equity Advisory Board. Jennifer Labolita, ELL and Foreign Language Director and Equity Advisory Board. Lori Mind, Human Resources Coordinator and Equity Advisory Board member. Madeline Ceballos, Mindfulness Coach. She's also a member of the Equity Advisory Board. And also the entire, Bias and Sensitivity Review Committee. And obviously, John Foster, the attorney. So this was a great work. Where it took a lot of hours to complete. As you can see, it's a solid document. So I wish we can move on this very quickly, and so that we can have it at least for the upcoming school year. Because we've been receiving a lot of emails and requests and questions why that form is not ready yet, this and that. And so it's coming from students, it's coming from teachers. And,
So we can definitely get the forms up and going. The one thing that probably will take some time is the policy, unless the committee wants to vote on that tonight. They might need some time to deliberate on that or edit it themselves before that can be finalized, okay? Yep.
Ms. Milbury Ellis.
Thank you. Dr. Garcia, I'm pretty familiar with these forms, having worked with higher institutions, so it's not completely unfamiliar to me. I will tell you that having the length of it is definitely a deterrent from any types of frivolous types of reporting, which is a good thing. But I am more interested in the process that happens once these forms are received, because we know the gravity that comes along with accusations, so I am interested in the process and the presumption that's given to the accused. And I'm hoping that these forms serve as a mode of communication and clarification, as opposed to coming from like a prosecutorial type.
Of course, yeah.
Type mode, so those are my comments.
I appreciate that, and that's exactly the intent. That's one of the things that actually while we were developing this form, I basically kept reiterating to people, this is supposed to be, and it will be, unless the person does this in multiple instances where certainly, consequences will follow. It's basically to educate people, meet with people, talk to people, and make them aware. And we have invested quite significant time in a lot of training in our public schools, training on, anti-racist pedagogy, training on multicultural racism, multicultural education, training on cultural competency, and so on and so forth. But still, these things are hard, really. People sometimes have a hard time with it. And it stays with us because our experience and all views and perspectives are shaped by our experience. and by what's going on at the macro level. So it's all about educating people. That's my stance on this.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, everyone uses these forms. You have to have an avenue for people to be able to report anonymously as well.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times you have experiences that, for whatever reason, you don't want to, you know, maybe blast somebody on, but this is a good thing. I think, so long as the process that follows it is done responsibly as well.
Thank you.
Any other members?
That was my presentation.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, one more item on the superintendent's report, and that is Dr. Mokaba is with us virtually, just to give a brief update on where we are with middle school lottery.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Our middle school lottery process has begun. We have hosted tours. All 3 of our middle schools hosted our 5th graders and their families last week. Students were given their middle school selection sheets by their teachers upon their return after the tours. And forms were due back actually today, so we are hoping that we have received all of the selection sheets from all of our middle schools. There was one change this year. Previously, our EL students had only the opportunity to select 2 of the 3 middle schools. They were given the choice of Susan B. Anthony or Garfield Middle School. Due to the large number of, the large population of students in the special education program at the Romney Marsh Academy, this year, our EL students were given the choice of 3. So all of our students were able to pick between all 3 of our middle schools. So that is one change for this year. The lottery is scheduled for Thursday, April 14th at 5 p.m. It will be streamed live on the school committee YouTube channel.
Any members have any questions or comments? Mr. Ferranti?
Danielle, is it going to be done in the school committee room, the lottery?
Yes, yep, we'll do it in the same location. We are, I will say, we are reverting back to the accounting firm that was with us pre-COVID. The last year, during COVID, we had one particular firm from Wakefield. They were unavailable this year, so we're going to go back to the firm that was with us prior to COVID.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Mokaba, did we make videos for the middle school tours as well? Are those accessible even if they're from last year?
We did make new videos this year.
Oh, okay.
I can ask Ann to put them on the website, on each of the middle schools or on our district website.
Yeah, probably on each school's page, I think would be a good location, and that way, anybody who might have missed a tour for any reason would have access to that.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Mokaba. Okay, we'll move on to report of subcommittees. Mrs. Rizzo?
No.
No? No? Okay. My apologies. Motions. Ms. Gravellisi.
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. Okay, first motion is motion to approve RPS Transportation Department entering into 3 one-year leases for 2 2023 ICCE 77 passenger school buses with Santander Financer per the terms of Sourcewell's contract, previously the National Joint Power Alliance contract, number 063020-ICB. So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Yes.
Mrs. Stacy Bronson Rizzo?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Ferranti?
Yes.
Miss Susan Gravellisi?
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston?
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian O'Reilly.
Yes. Ms. Gravellisi?
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. Motion to encumber $28,986 for invoice number 15 for Left Field LLC for January 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian O'Reilly.
Yes. Ms. Gravellisi?
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. Motion to approve payment of invoice number 15 for Left Field LLC for January 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mr. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor O'Reilly.
Yes.
Okay, motion to encumber $21,105 for invoice number 87970.00.00-11 for Perkins Eastman Architect, DPC, for January 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian O'Reilly.
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve payment of invoice number 87970.00.0-11 for Perkins Eastman Architect, DPC, for January 2022 professional services. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian O'Reilly.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to old business. That being accelerated repairs at Lincoln and Beechmont schools.
And just very quickly for the public, we've already discussed this a little bit, but last month, the committee had asked about the accelerated repair project to replace the boilers at the Beechmont School. And I will admit that in the late hour of that night, a month ago, I was a little tired and was confusing my projects. So anyway, the Beechmont boiler replacement project is scheduled to begin this spring, as close to when students get out of school as we can, and will be completed hopefully by the late summer or the early fall. The Lincoln Accelerated Repair Project, which is about replacing the windows, won't begin until next summer, the summer of 2023. And so just to be clear on those matters, I just wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. We'll move on to new business. There are two items. The second family liaison at RHS, which we discussed at the Committee of the Whole. Any further discussion?
No, I'll make the motion to approve
Ms. Ty?
the establishment of that position, the second family liaison at Revere High School.
Okay, motion presented by Ms. Ty,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Milbury Ellis. Roll call.
Mr. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
No.
Mr. Michael Ferranti,
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian O'Reilly.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, point of information, or
Mrs.
personal privilege, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Rizzo.
So my no is because we had discussed at the Committee of the Whole that we will get some information from Dr. Kelly, and we will be meeting in a couple of weeks to discuss it, because this was just put on the agenda and we had no information prior to it.
Thank you, Mrs. Rizzo. Second item of new business is the vote on the 2022-2023 school year calendar.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Franklin.
To Dr. Kelly, I noticed that the Jewish holidays were late September and in October. Is that going to have any effect on anything that we're doing? Because I know last year became a little bit of a problem.
Well, with the changes to the contract that we made in the 2015 contract, folks can use their personal time if they so choose to observe any religious observance that they feel they need to observe.
Well, it wasn't that, it's because we had meetings lined up, professional development, we sort of had to move them around a little bit.
Oh, right, I hear what you're
That's what I'm really
saying.
getting at more than that.
That is a good point, thank you. I will take a look at that.
Thank you.
Mr. Kingston.
I was just wondering, I'm sure maybe some of these professional developments have already been scheduled, but I was just wondering from a parent perspective, like we meet the third Tuesday of the month, yet the half days, and I know some months it might be difficult, but maybe it would be nice if they were either the first Wednesday of the month or the second Wednesday of the month, just for some continuity. I just think it's hard sometimes for the parents. From month to month, it changes. Like on October, it's the third Wednesday. November, it's the first. December, again, it's the first, it's fine. January, it's the fourth. It seems to bounce around, and I know sometimes it's part of the calendar, and if there's a holiday that week, I understand. But I think it might be easier for a parent perspective that's trying to schedule their lives and schedule maybe daycare, if it was a little more consistent, maybe the first Wednesday or second Wednesday, or whatever it works out to be. I think it would just be easier. And I think staff sometimes forgets. Oh geez, we got a half day next week. It just, because it doesn't seem to, it doesn't follow much of a pattern. If maybe that could be adjusted, I just, and if it can't, it can't. If you said to me, John, I've got 3 programs coming in October, November, December, can't touch the dates, I totally understand. But I think, again, from a parent perspective, we meet on the third Tuesday because it's, it helps us plan our lives, so to speak. But the parents, and somewhat can't do the same.
Yeah.
So it's just a thought. And if it can't be changed, I understand, but maybe something for the following calendar.
Yeah, we do pay attention to trying to space them out equally, but then we do pay attention to, like, if you look at the first one is scheduled for September 14th. So normally, if all things being equal, we would have selected October 12th. But because there's no school on that Monday, we didn't want the burden on parents to have no school on Monday and a half day on Wednesday of the same week, so we push it to the following week. And that means there's not a lot of time between the October meeting and the November meeting, but that's because in the November meeting, if we pushed it a week, it would be the same as a Friday off, and then we're bumping into Thanksgiving, so it does get complicated. And then other things that we have to look at is, like I'll take the March meeting, for example, that's always timed to precede MCAS because we are required by law to provide professional development to teachers who are going to proctor MCAS. So there are some things like that that direct when we can have these meetings, and it does get a little bit complicated in that regard.
Okay, just a thought. Thank you.
Any other, Ms. Gravely?
Thank you, Mayor Arrigo. I'm not 100% sure, but isn't there an election this year for like state rep? I know we usually
There is.
take that into consideration.
Yes.
And that would be probably Tuesday, November 1st. And you have the PD half-day on Wednesday. I know sometimes we try to be cognizant of that so that the children don't get.
Yeah, absolutely, that's a good suggested change, to move the half-day in November from, so the election day is the 1st, is that right?
It's usually
Be
the
the first
first
Tuesday.
Tuesday
Yeah,
of
first Tuesday.
November.
I did just get the list of different election days for next year from the new election commissioner. So I will look at that and see if there are any others as well. So I don't know if if you want to vote this or if you want to table it until I look at those things.
Well, yeah, why don't we table it to the next committee meeting?
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. So next item on the agenda is Mrs. Rizzo.
Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out. I know evidently we took off school committee, I forget what we called it.
Interest.
Interest off, but I'm still going to say what I have to say. I didn't take it off. You did. Anyhow, a former student, Sydney Ciano, she was the class valedictorian. She was a poet laureate for 3 years and attended many other things within the city. But I just wanted to give her a shout out because she just published her first work. It's called To Satin, and it's a book of poetry about the importance of friendships and to appreciate friendships and what they offer to each other. So I'm really excited for her. I just bought my copy on Amazon. Can't wait to have it autographed, but for these young people doing the work that they're doing at such an early age, it's just a blessing, and I'm glad she was one of our students.
Thank you for sharing, Mrs. Rizzo. The final item on the agenda is for the committee to meet in executive session, and that is to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline or dismissal of or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second?
Before we take the roll call, I do want to acknowledge that we will not be coming back as a public body, and we will be adjourning from the executive session. Roll call on the motion.
Mr. Stacy Bronson Rizzo,
Yes.
Mr. Michael Ferranti.
Yes.
Ms. Susan Gravellisi,
Yes.
Mr. John Kingston,
Yes.
Mrs. Aisha Milbury Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Carol Ty,
Yes.
Mayor Brian Origo.
Yes.